please. This is your official civil defense broadcaster.
One of the greatest threats would be radioactive fallout.
Uranium fever.
Where fallout is heaviest, it can even kill those who have not taken proper shelter.
Broadcasting deep underground in a questionably constructed survivalist bunker is Dave CHAFINZ and Kenneth VIGUE, and your host, as always, Mr. Robots. This episode of the Fallout Hub is brought to you by Sugar Bombs. Sugar Bombs! Who needs teeth anyway?
All right, Wastelanders and Vault Dwellers, welcome back to the Fallout Hub. I am your host, Mr. Robots. I guess now I'm just Mr. Robots because that's what Ken tells me I am. So I'm Mr. Robots, and we are broadcasting from the hidden bunker, the hidden vault in, I don't even know where we are. Dave, where are we? Where is it? Oh, I guess we shouldn't reveal that, though.
In between Sutton and Weston and DC.
Somewhere in there, you can triangulate our position. And we are back with the second episode of this wonderful podcast. And guys, okay, so we've been digging through this vault trying to see what other things we can find. And we found what looks like an old script. And I'm trying to get their attention. Ken, we're recording. I
just don't understand how you could cast Samuel L. Jackson as
sorry,
Dog.
guys. Are you guys recording now? I drank too much.
That's what
Nuka-Cola Quantum, and it went right through me.
Yeah, that's what the red light means. We're live.
Hey.
Yeah. Well, anyway, let's go on. So we found this script for the Fallout movie. Samuel L. Jackson is in it.
Oh yeah, he's playing Dog. I can't say his lines. I don't even understand how they're going to get radio to work in as far as American censorship, let alone across the world. This seems like it's an NC-17 kind of film.
Yeah, this script is heavily redacted, but it looks like Philip Seymour Hoffman was going to play Colonel Augustus Autumn. It's an unusual choice.
Who's the main character?
It's a toss-up between. So Keanu Reeves is both playing the boy and the girl together. It's just
what?
It's just they're just changing his costumes out. It's like they were trying to work with CG. You remember Star Wars Episode 1, Phantom Menace, a marvelous
like
CG
late 90s
entertainment.
CG.
Yes, that's like where they were trying to go with that. It's like The Irishman, but in the 90s.
This looks like it was written by Brent Friedman, but I don't know. There's a top sheet that says absolutely no way in hell. I think that was from an executive. But it looks like Brad Pitt was maybe going to be someone that they would pick, and there's Jennifer Love Hewitt as a potential love interest.
Huh.
Winona Ryder. She was the trying to do the Wasteland Survival Guide. See that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
She would have been great.
She would have been.
Andy Serkis. Oh, look at that. He was going to do all the animation for the ghouls.
Oh, Paul Rubens was going to be one of the. He was going to be a Sentry bot.
It seemed like Dan Aykroyd was going to try to sell weird liquor. Oh wait.
But that's just Dan Aykroyd being himself. All right. Well, welcome to the Fallout Hub. Anyway, we're going to try and pull them away from this script. So here, let's just move into the news. Dave?
Yes. Dave? Hello. Welcome.
Dave, let's do the news.
Telegram. News from Bethesda.
What do you got for us this week, buddy?
Welcome, everyone. It is the Charleston Herald. here again for another week. Let's bring out the Brian Fargo trumpet. Let's play a little diddly. And now we're going to get into some news. The first piece of news is that Chad, a Fallout 76 podcast, will be live at Bethesda Game Days. And we happen to have a guest on the show almost every week who is planning such an event. I will now hand it over to Ken.
Oh, who's the guest?
Ken.
What? Oh, this is me.
It's you.
It's you.
Here, I'm taking the script.
Oh, but come on.
We're talking about Chad.
All right, fine. Yeah, this whole thing was kind of unexpected, and I've been keeping it under my hat since early last month when Bethesda reached out to me to see if we would be willing to do a live stage show of the podcast, something new that we could do at Bethesda Game Days in Boston during PAX East. So it was kind of a what if you could, which I immediately responded with, yeah. It took a little bit to go through the channels and get greenlit. But when I did, I had some champagne and a very quiet cry, because it's going to be kind of a big moment for us and the show. But as this thing has continued to evolve, I found out that Jeff Gardner and Pete Hines enjoy the show and listen to it, which is just kind of baffling and insane.
That's kind of awesome.
Pete Hines he tweeted that he's going to be dragging his wife to sit in the audience to watch it. I imagine our show with dick jokes and innuendo being something that a guy tries to explain to his spouse, and she just kind of rolls her eyes like, "What are you even talking about?"
It's kind of the opposite in my home. My wife's all about that stuff.
That's awesome.
I'm serious.
We're pretty good at it here in the podcast, though. The entirety of our last episode.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, so it's going to be Saturday, February 29th at 3:30 p.m. Until 4:30. So it'll be like about a 50-minute show with an introduction and an ending. There's going to be some prizes, a few special guests. You're going to get to see 12 of your favorite characters with their real world avatars. So it's going to be bizarre to see little ghoul Susie up there along with Chad and myself. So it's going to be interesting for people to see. In fact, to mark the occasion, I had Ella, the possessed little doll from the show. I had somebody make one. And
I saw the pictures.
I designed a voice box that I sewed inside it. So when you actually squeeze it, she'll say catchphrases from the show.
That's awesome.
So
something tickle fanny, something tickle fanny.
Yeah.
Tickle my fanny.
Tickle my fanny.
Yeah.
And then she starts singing the Teddy Bear's Picnic, and then you just die. So she'll be up there on stage. That's going to be kind of cool. It's going to be streamed live on Twitch, their YouTube channel, Mixer, and also Facebook. The links will be in the show notes. You can also find them on our page. But it's going to be kind of a cool day. Both Tom, I think you're coming with me to that.
Yeah, I get to join you. I get to be in the show.
Yes, Tom is going to be playing a new character that I don't want to give you too much about, but he's going to be having some fun with Susie and Ella and Punch the super mutant.
Yeah, we need to talk inspiration on this character because I'm ready to deep dive.
Well, he's an alcoholic, so you know.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't everyone in Fallout 76?
Yeah, he's going to be. He runs a junkies build, so he's going to be shooting up and trying to coach Susie through trauma therapy. It's going to be.
Does he have a funny accent? Can I do a funny accent?
You can, as long as it's legible.
It's just some gibberish. He's like the Boomhauer of the Fallout universe.
Exactly.
Wop, 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 wop. Wop, wop, wop. So very cool. Everybody tune into that because it's going to be, we are over the moon excited, as you can probably imagine. we get to meet all these fun people and be part of this big thing. So
yeah, I mean,
super cool.
Neither one of us have been to PAX East before. I mean, Boston's only a 90-minute ride for me, so it's going to be interesting to meet the who's who of the Bethesda team and have a chat with them. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, and I'll be up there. I'm going up on Thursday. I'm leaving Sunday, so I'll be up there. And anybody who is into hanging out, getting a drink, whatever, I've even created a channel on the Robots Radio Discord so that we can coordinate. So anyone who wants to get together, who's going to happen to be in the area or at the event, just check that out. And there's a link in the show notes for that. So
let us know. On our Chad page, I set up an event. The cast is going to be there the whole weekend, Thursday through Sunday as well. So they'll be walking around with Chad T-shirts, so you can grab them. We'll be handing out some special little note cards that are designed for anybody who's going to be attending. I'm going to be there just on Saturday, so if you want to come say hello, I'm going to be hanging out at Game Days, which is going to be inside Laugh Boston, which is at the Westin Seaport Hotel.
Yeah, and speaking of T-shirts, I got my Fallout Hub T-shirt.
Yes.
Did you guys get yours?
Yeah, we have a
Did you guys
store
order some?
live. All of the shirts are at cost, so it's like the cheapest you can possibly buy a shirt from Teespring. That's what we're charging for these. That way more people could get them and wear them. I'd recommend getting a shirt or a sticker. I like to get a sticker, and I like to put it on the water bottle that I drink. Right now,
I thought you were going to say shirt. Like you got a plain shirt and just put a sticker on the front.
I like that option as well. Right now, my water bottle has that sticker and a sticker that says, "I met Lil Sebastian at the Pawnee Harvest Festival." Also, on that day of the Bethesda Game Days, if you come to Charleston, we can grab lunch if you call me at 180-ENVIOUS.
Awesome. All right, so moving on from that one, let's conveniently transition into Fallout 76.
Take those Dandy Boy apples away from Dave. I think you snake.
I'm fuming, mate. I'm fuming over here, mate. I'm fuming. All right. Next piece of news is the Fallout 76 Wastelanders trailer is out now and announces that the expansion comes on April 7th. While we're on the subject of Bethesda Game Days, I'm going to take a moment and have a discussion with you all about your predictions for what Bethesda may announce or allude to in the world of Fallout at the event.
Ooh. Well, Ken can only say so much, being that he's under NDA and will have his head removed if he says.
Now we're holding him hostage because we're down here. Yeah. We have a gigantic steel door locking us in here, and he has to go here soon to Boston up there to do his little show and song and pony dance. So while we're down here, we're going to get the information we need, Ken. I'll have you know. You're the gumshoe.
Ninja finish.
Yeah, Mr. Handy, he's hovering behind you right now with a big old saw blade.
All I can say is that it will be something.
So, thank you, Ken, for that.
So it's a
thank
thing.
you, Ken, for such a detailed report. I'm so glad that we have everything and all the knowledge that you have graced upon us. Now, what do you think, Tom? What do you think is going to be going on? Revealed. What do you,
at Bethesda Game Days?
Are they just going to do something
I think they're probably
short?
not going to have. Yeah, I don't think they'll have too big an announcement because within a month and like a week from that, we'll actually get to play it. So they're not going to spoil too much. But they've been releasing updates on the website about like here's a little bit more about the different factions and here's a little bit more about what's going on in the game. And then people at the event are going to get like 20-minute playthroughs, quick little playthroughs of Wastelanders to probably just see some of the beginning content. So I'm sure they're going to talk about some of the stuff that you see at the beginning without spoiling any of the other things. But I expect that they're going to give us an even better rundown of the technical improvements as well, because I'm sure there are a lot of people thinking, okay, well, how good is this going to be if my game keeps crashing, right? So that's kind of my expectation.
I think I would be curious if I remember when they did it last year, they kind of lined up gameplay snippets with what they were talking about. where they went in depth on one particular thing and then had a little snippet showing off what it was. I'm curious if we'll see more with dialogue, if we'll kind of get faction introductions in a more kind of official format, not like official format, but a little more in depth on that. And I'm curious if they're really going to get down to the nuts and bolts of stuff that people have been asking about weapon buffs, different like balance changes. I'm curious if they'll dig that far deep, but I think it would be worth it too.
Yeah, I think that this event is also going to be much more community focused.
Right.
So to have an opportunity to just kind of say, here's some questions that we've been getting from the community, take this opportunity to address them. Yeah, here's what you can expect with the update. So maybe a little bit of that stuff.
I'm very curious what will be talked about during that time, and I'm very curious as to what's going to happen with the Chad of Fallout 76 podcast. Right after that, when is that recording again?
That is the 29th.
29th?
But,
What time?
At 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Cool stuff.
Yeah, right after the Elder Scrolls Online game show. They're doing some sort of game show thing.
They are,
for
yeah.
Elder Scrolls.
Yep.
Yeah, seems kind of cool.
The last piece of news that I have is we've reached out to our community this week looking for names for our Mr. Handy, and the week leading up to Bethesda Game Days, we will be putting out Twitter surveys that will decide a tournament bracket for which name we are going to name our Mr. Handy. I will now read off I think it's 16? No, not 16, 12. Let me do my counting.
4 times 4?
4 times 4. Oh, that's 16. See,
186.
let's get Mr. Handy to do all of our calculations from here on out.
Here's the other thing I want you guys to do right now. Don't tell us, but pick your favorite, and then after he reads through all of them, we're gonna all say what our favorite is.
Okay, that sounds good.
Maybe we can sway some of the vote.
All right. In our first round, we have Esteban, Sir Digby of Smee, Will Smoth, and Chesterton. Round
Very
2,
good ones.
we have
Good ones, yes.
Turd Ferguson, Sassy, Mr. Hubby, and Theodore.
Solid.
For round 3, we have Higgins, Wilford, Bigglesworth, Latoya. And for round 4, we have Moss, Bertram, Mr. Casty, and Mr. Belvedere.
All right, guys. Which one's your favorite so far?
I'm gonna go with Sir Digby of Smee. That's just a great
That's pretty good.
name.
Yeah,
Ken?
I have to go with Mr. Belvedere.
Mr. Belvedere. I also like Will Smith.
Yeah, that was one of mine, but I also was one of my favorite 80s shows. Mr. Belvedere is such a great classic Mr. Handy name.
Yeah, it is. My favorite is Latoya.
Latoya is good.
It doesn't make any
Match up.
sense.
Yeah, he's gonna murder us if we call him Latoya.
He's just gonna murder us in general by the end of this.
He's
We're
gonna
just gonna be
straight
dead.
up kill us. Yes.
But as far as news, I think that's it. You can vote on these leading up the week to the Bethesda. It's like a little hype train to get you ready for the Chat of Fallout 76 podcast and all of the Wastelanders news that will be happening that weekend. With that, I will now turn over my segment.
Oh, hey, guys, did you hear that? Is that the door?
Who is that?
I think so wait a minute. This is 2 times now that door's just opened from the outside. We might want to do something about people just being able to stroll in here, but do you think that's... Hey!
Oh, hey, you guys said to meet in here, right? This very weird, creepy vault location?
Hey, it's JUICEHEAD. It's JUICEHEAD. Hey!
Hey.
Come on in! I think our plan's working, guys.
Yeah, this is...
Oh, yes, the plan.
Yes, the plan.
Oh, hey, what's going on? How's it going in here?
Hey, I'm glad you found our vault. Welcome to our vault. Man, I'm so excited to talk to you. I didn't think you'd actually show up, but thanks for coming. Guys, JUICEHEAD, guys, how's it going?
Good day.
Hello and welcome to the vault. We've been expecting you.
Oh man, that's quite the introduction. Very nice place you got here. Could use a little mopping, a little dusting, but otherwise.
Yeah,
Dave's
we've only
trying
been
not
in
to look
here.
creepy with the followers of the apocalypse robes. Take those off.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Dave.
I've got all these voice modulator options still that I need to calibrate. You know.
Yeah, we've only been in here for like a week or two now, and still haven't really spent much time cleaning up. We're trying to figure out all the, fun doodads and stuff. I think we've got the recording thing down. So we were excited to talk to you. I know that we kind of reached out and said that we had some information, right, guys? Information that we were going to share with you.
Yes.
Why, Tom, why are you winking? Is there something in your... Oh, the plant. right. Okay.
What?
Yeah,
What?
at the but first, Juicehead, we would love to get to know you a little bit and ask you some questions now that you are in our creepy vault. So, how's that sound?
Good, great. I love that idea.
Okay, we'll get to the information we were going to share with you that lured you into our secret vault at the end of the episode, right, guys?
Okay.
Right.
Yes,
Yeah.
the
mhm.
end.
Totally fair. Totally fair.
So, so welcome to our vault. This is our recording area, and you can kind of talk anywhere. There's microphones all over the place, so it's just going to pick us all up. But you're officially like our second guest on our show that we're running from this secret recording equipment in a hidden vault, which is pretty cool. It's called the Fallout Hub. But I tell you what, why don't we start it out with a quick 20 questions? I'm just going to throw a bunch of questions at you.
All right.
And we're just, off top of your head, just answer the questions. We'll get this going, and then we'll move on from there. Okay, you ready? Sound good? All right, here we go. Question number 1. Is cereal a soup?
Is cereal by itself?
Like a cereal in a bowl with milk.
Oh, I don't eat cereal with milk. So
So is it a soup? No.
No, not
Okay.
a soup.
What is the sexiest name?
The sexiest name, Todd.
What is the least sexiest name?
The least sexiest name? That's a hard one. The first one that comes to mind is Pete, but yeah, let's go Pete.
Wow.
Oh man.
Oh man.
Okay. What secret conspiracy would you like to start?
Would I like to start?
Mm-hmm.
Real world vault experiments for World War III.
Ooh, that's a good one.
All right. What is the weirdest smell that you've ever smelled?
The weirdest smell? Car exhaust over vomit.
That sounds
Like there was
disgusting.
vomit right behind the exhaust, and it just all flowed together into one thing.
I'm having a hard time even imagining what that smells like.
Yeah.
Isn't that everyone's college experience?
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, yeah, all right. Is a hot dog a sandwich?
Yes.
What is something that everyone looks stupid doing?
Eating a burrito sideways.
In 40 years, what will people be nostalgic for?
Fallout.
Oh no!
What happened to it?
I don't know.
We're going to lose a retweet on this one from
Yeah, that's it.
If animals could talk, which would be the rudest?
Probably cats.
Probably. I think you're right.
Yeah.
What's the best type of cheese?
Yellow American, not white American. Yellow American.
How many chickens would it take to kill an elephant?
27.
It's 27.
Yeah,
I think that's a good and proper number. 26.
Yeah, 27.
You.
No,
26,
26
not
would,
quite
and then 28 would be overkill.
Yes.
Side note, have you guys played Totally Accurate Battle Simulator? They need to add chickens and elephants.
Yes.
In one sentence, how would you sum up the internet?
One sentence?
Uh-huh.
Huh. Interesting and kind of quirky.
That's like a partial sentence, but sure.
Yeah,
It's a
that's all I
fragment.
got.
That works. Which body part do you wish you could detach, and why?
Probably an arm. I feel like that'd be helpful, especially sleeping. Like, when you gotta like lay on your arm.
Oh,
Yeah.
For the night.
Because where do you put it? Do you put it under the pillow? Do you like?
I don't know.
Yeah. See.
Maybe you
with
can only take out one arm at a time.
Yeah, just
If
my
ever
right
to-
one is fine.
If ever both of them fell off, you'd be screwed.
Yeah, that'd be bad.
Yeah. All right. What mythical creature would improve the world most if it existed?
If it existed, it has to mythical creature. How many maybe like an alternate human, like an orc, like something
Would
just as
improve
smart.
the world?
Yeah, you know, like a little put us on our. Yeah, a smart orc where it's like, you know, give us a little someone to compete with the humans.
Okay. Okay. Not as like orc slaves and they're like zug zug.
No, not like that. Yeah, no.
What inanimate object do you wish you could eliminate from existence?
Inanimate object. That's a good question. That's a hard one.
That is a hard one.
What inanimate object? Maybe. I don't know. I can't even think of an answer. Do people
All right, hold
have
on to
answers
that.
for this?
Yeah, hold on. But these are different for every time. Every time I ask people. What would be the absolute worst name you could give a child?
Probably the name of like something like Hitler or
I thought maybe
Adolf
you were gonna
Hitler
say-
specifically.
I thought maybe you were going to say Pete.
yeah, no, Pete's a runner-up, but close.
All right, 4 more. If peanut butter wasn't called peanut butter, what would it be called?
Maybe just butter.
Just
butter.
That's
Like
some
we didn't have regular
competition.
butter. It was just that was butter. And then butter.
I can't believe this isn't butter.
Yeah, exactly. And then, but that would have a totally different meaning. That'd be like vegan peanut. Well, I guess peanut butter is vegan, but be like almond butter would be. I can't believe it's not butter.
Yeah, but you'd have a whole different series of products for that. Okay, 3 left. What would be the worst buy one, get one free sale of all time?
That's a good. I guess like adoption agencies seem would be a little questionable. I guess is that buying? I mean, you're not really, but there's money involved.
You can only buy 2 children. You can't just have one.
Maybe run into some issues there.
Get your picture of a retail storefront with just kids in the window.
Yeah.
Very sad children.
Oh wow.
Oh, what sport would be the funniest to add a mandatory amount of alcohol to?
Definitely. Like I feel like wrestling, or like any like combat sport, like boxing or wrestling. Just yeah.
All right, and final question: can we just call you Mr. Head?
Yes, I go by that also.
Okay, great. Well, thank you for answering our 20 questions. That was
You're
very
welcome.
polite of you.
Well, I only answered 19, but yes. You're
Well,
welcome.
okay, 19. So if you come up with an answer for that last one,
Yeah, I'll think
the
about it.
inanimate
I'm gonna have to
object.
sleep on it. I'll get back
Is
to
that
you.
it? Yeah.
Also, congratulations that you have passed the secret goat test that we do, and I believe Tom has your job role assignment that you'll be listed out currently.
Yep. Let me. I'm putting it into our computer here. This is Vault was nice. It actually comes with its own goat. Manicurist. There you
Oh,
go.
really?
Wow, impressive.
That's funny. I've always wanted to be a manicure, so it all works out in the end, doesn't it?
Yeah. There you go. So now you know that's what you were meant to be. At least
Awesome.
come the end of the world.
Yeah.
That's nothing. I got housewife.
Oh. Well, I can help you out. Match made in heaven.
I'll clean the floors.
Yeah.
You are like the target market for the manicurist.
Yeah.
Very
I'll be
nice.
seeing you every
True.
Wednesday.
A
Come in for a
supply and
chat.
demand.
So, welcome again to our vault, Mr. Head. We are
Thank you.
all very excited to talk to you. I know we've all been viewers of your videos and fans of some of your content. So,
Thank you.
yeah, this is fun for us. So, we just kind of wanted to dig into some of your background in both Fallout and being a YouTuber. And for anybody who's listening to this who isn't familiar, you make a bunch of YouTube videos, mostly about Fallout stuff.
Yes.
And that's super exciting for us because we all love Fallout stuff. So, so let's get a little behind the scenes here. What is your favorite Fallout game? Like, how did you get into Fallout, and what would you consider your favorite of the series?
So that's the favorite part. Well, all right. How I got into
Kind
it's
of two
easy.
questions. It's kind of
Yeah.
two questions. So,
How I got into it's pretty easy. Fallout 3 back in the day. I think it was like a Christmas gift. Do you guys remember the little lunchbox collector's edition?
Yes, I had that. That's how I got into it.
Yeah. So that was my original. I think it was it must have been a birthday present, and I was way too young because that was rated M, and I was definitely not old enough to play that game. But Yeah, that's how I got into it. And then my favorite, like, I know objectively, I think New Vegas is the best. I think almost everyone could agree. Just when it came, well, or maybe like a year after it came out, after all the bug fixes and the mods. But I think my favorite's probably Fallout 4 because I played it the most. I made the most videos on it. It's kind of what got me a following in Fallout on YouTube. So I'm just biased towards Fallout 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Now, when did you start? Give us some background on your. You said you had this interesting YouTuber story, like how you really got into it and how you've developed a following and all that. So, take us through that.
Yeah, it's been like a long time I've been on YouTube because originally my first channel, which that is a story for another day, but I think my first channel I made back in 2006 with Legos.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So it was a real, I don't think YouTube was all that popular back then, but I just always enjoyed making videos on different things. And then I know my current channel, it was originally Halo 3 Machinima is why I made my current channel. And then since then I've shifted. Back in the day, it was like, I know my first 1,000 subscribers, all I did was post HD gameplay because people didn't have HD capture cards. So not many people, everyone posted like 480p. So I think I was posting 720p and a bunch of people subscribed just because of that. And then over time, I've transferred to like Minecraft I did for a while and then eventually landed on Fallout.
Okay. How did you capture HD gameplay when nobody else was getting it?
A birthday gift. I think it was just an expensive capture card, like $200 I think was how much it cost back then, which when I was it was like a big birthday gift for me. And I think originally I just played, I want to say it was Battlefield Bad Company 1 and I would just record it.
Good stuff.
Yeah, that was a great game.
Cool. Yeah, I love the Battlefield series, and the Bad Company ones were lots of fun. So did you intend for you're full time now as a YouTube creator? Now did you ever intend for that, or is it something that was kind of this happy accident after creating content for long enough and you kind of got to that point?
Yeah, I mean, because I was doing it seriously. I don't know if I was daily posting, but almost daily posting all through high school. And at that point I was making Minecraft videos. But as I went to college, I was like, all right, I feel like I was getting too old to continue making Minecraft videos all through college. I had classes. So originally I kind of quit somewhat when I went to college, but then Fallout 4 came out. I made a few Fallout 4 videos. Originally, have you ever seen those battle videos? You just like spawn in a bunch of NPCs.
Yes, yeah.
Yep.
Those were like my first Fallout videos. Like the first few that actually got pretty good views, like over 10,000 views on a like that was the good ones. And from there, then I would make random Fallout 4 videos. And then I remember it was like the summer of 2016 when Fallout 4 modding really started to become pretty popular. There was a few other YouTubers doing it. MXR, obviously, and then Al, I always mess up his name. Al, who, he was a little bit more sarcastic. MXR covered specific kinds of mods, so I just did regular Fallout 4 mod videos.
Specific kinds of
specific category.
Like the kinds of mods people with the name Todd would be into.
Yeah, exactly.
The ones that we don't talk about in the public.
Yeah, and then just over time, as the following grew, it originally started, like I remember there was one summer where I was like, do I go for the internship or do I just focus on YouTube? Because I was making like decent money at the time and it was a real decision. And then I did that for only like over the summers. I would just do YouTube. And then when I graduated, I've been doing it full time. Technically, I only graduated, I guess, 7 months ago from college.
Because I think you were going for psychology, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, psych and a minor in economics.
Cool.
So what keeps you going? Like obviously you have to keep coming up with more content and regularly posting, and that's one of the things that they talk about is being consistent, constantly posting new videos, interacting with your community. Is it like a career commitment kind of thing where you're like, well, this is my job, so on these days I get up and I do my work, or is it more of like a labor of love still? Like, what keeps you going?
It's like a mix. There's like some videos where I don't dislike making it, but it kind of like grinded through it more, where I'm like, all right, I just have to get the video done. It feels more like work in that instance, but a lot of times it's just fun. Like, I was making videos long before I made any money, like probably for 5, 6, 7 years even. I was doing weekly, if not more, videos, and I was making pennies. If I made $100 that month, that would be incredible. Like that really didn't happen. Because back then, to get paid, you had to make $100. That was like the threshold for YouTube to send you the check. So normally it'd be like every 4, 5, 6 months. If I was really lucky and I worked really hard on videos. So I've always just really enjoyed it. But there are definitely days where I would rather not make the video, or especially with Fallout 76, because I think a lot of people look at my channel as kind of a comprehensive news source. There are sometimes where something really bad will happen. It's like, I don't really want to talk about that. But
I know. It's hard with the duping sometimes. I can hear, like, in the video you dropped, I think it was last night, you were talking about, I got to tell you about this. I kind of don't want to, but I kind of have to.
Yeah, because it's like, I don't want to leave it out, and then it becomes like, I try and stay pretty objective. Like, this is basically everything that's happening with the game, and I can't just leave it out because I don't feel like talking about it, because then you get a skewed view, and I don't want that. But
right. Yeah, and I think you do a really great job of staying pretty balanced and objective in a way that a lot of other YouTubers really don't when it came to this game, even from the beginning.
I think that is really interesting, which I think it all stems from that original launch of Fallout 76. But it's really interesting how, if you look at the YouTubers that cover the game, I feel like most of them are either like really positive swinging or really negative swinging. Or at least just based off what I've seen.
From a psychological standpoint, what a snapshot of how people are today.
Yeah.
On the internet, everything is so polarized in that exact way. Not just with this game, but in so many other fandoms and entertainment as a medium. It's bizarre.
Talk about psychology. I mean, that the question is, are they actually polarized, or are they doing it because that gets them more views, or is it a combination of both? Yeah. Polarization seems to be inherent into just the system itself, because it helps you be more successful. But then there's like this feedback loop where it just makes you more polarized in your own opinions.
Tom is also all about psychology, so the two of you can talk on the same level.
Yeah. Like, I know, I took social psych one of my last semesters, and the group polarization effect, I'm pretty sure it's called, where it's basically, if you're in a group and you add more people to the group, your ideas will become more extreme. Because, like, let's say I hate Fallout 76, and then I join groups that also hate Fallout 76, you get a bunch of other reasons to hate the game because you hear why other people hate the game. So then in turn, I'll hate the game more. So I feel like somewhat with some of these communities, you see that, where it's like almost like a safe haven for people that like the game. They'll just keep hearing more and more reasons why the game is great, but then not hear as many reasons as to why it's bad, so they'll feel more like better about it, versus the total opposite for those communities that really dislike the game.
I've gotten to the point where I will try and avoid watching things before I get the chance to experience it myself. Because on the one hand, you have people that are reporting such a negative, skewed view towards something, whether it's a movie or a TV show or a game, as opposed to experiencing for yourself and coming up with your own opinion about how you feel about it.
Yeah, no, I think that's smart. And even sometimes the reporting on Fallout 76, I think because it's so popular to hate on, is just bad. Like, I remember during the inventory steal hack, which was huge for the game, had a massive impact. I saw a ton of articles go up covering the inventory steal hack after it had been fixed, and failed to mention that it was fixed, and they never updated it or anything.
I noticed that. Yeah, like a week or 2 weeks afterward, and they're still,
And that's just lazy. I mean, that's really all it is. They just wanted the money, the quick clicks, but they didn't actually want to do the legwork.
Right.
Do you think it's better from like an online, these like interactive game experiences that have consistent updates that are more of the, I guess, live service games? This is a great definition for it. Do you think it's better to come off of that, even in longevity, and from I guess, it having a lot of like positive critical reception, as opposed to it coming in from a negative critical reception? Because I don't know, like I'm seeing, for example, The Division 2 came out and it had a very large acceptance from the critics and media, and then with Fallout 76 it came out, it was negative with the critics and media. But now I guess a year and a half later, you're seeing more press from Fallout than you are with The Division because that's an underdog story. What do you think is better as far as press?
I mean, I think
a good game is best.
Yeah, I just based off literally the same social psych class. Remember, I had to learn about it. It was like in a marketing context where first impressions are really hard to shake, or a lot harder than anything else. So, like, there's some people that have a first impression of Fallout 76, and they will never be convinced otherwise. They will always think it's that bad game and just not give it a try as a result. So, to answer your question, I guess I think starting off positive would pretty much always be better.
I think there was maybe a misstep in a way in that the game was described as something that you can play as a solo experience, but in my opinion, the strength of this game is in the community that you run with, factions that you join, friends that you make in the game. That honestly is what keeps me coming back frequently. It's spending time with them and going on nonsense adventures, running around in your underwear, killing things. That is where the core of this experience came from me, versus if you're just kind of out there on your own and there's only so many holotapes you can listen to or notes you can read before you're like, okay, I would like to talk to somebody now.
I have a similar experience in that you guys are way more social in the game, and that keeps you coming back more often than I do to the game. And I'm one of the few people who enjoyed the game as a solo experience primarily because I like environmental storytelling. I liked how big the map was and how much there was to explore. But after about 100 hours of exploring and doing it all on my own, I was like, okay, I feel pretty good that I know most of the stuff. I've done most of the quest lines. I don't have any other human NPCs to interact with, but that's generally how I play with these games anyways. I get to a certain point where I've kind of done everything, but you're right, this game is not designed simply as a solo experience, and it's not designed in a way that the other games were designed as solo experiences with NPCs. And I think that's where the big misstep happened, is that people were thinking I can play it solo like I can those other games, and it fundamentally is different in both aspects.
Yeah, I mean, it was described exactly in those terms, that you can play it solo when it was first launched, and maybe a different expectation should have been set.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think even if you go back and you watch, like, before the Greenbrier event and the media got their hands on the game, the Bethesda's, like, E3 demo and how they described it, and you look even at launch, how the game turned out, bugs aside, it's very different. Like, the game did not turn out how they expected, with that high drama, every other player you see might be a threat, where in reality, in game, every other player you see is like almost a friend you could potentially make.
Yeah, it's interesting how it kind of evolved in that way. Even going back to when I first got into it with beta, everyone at that point had area chat on. So if I heard someone, munching on potato chips a mile away, I would go in that direction, and everyone greeted each other.
Those are some crunchy potato chips.
Yeah.
I'm making that part of the live show experience, by the way. But it was different back then because area chat was always on. It was a new experience for everybody. So I think you felt inclined to go greet people and sharing the experience, as opposed to looking at them as exactly.
Well, you also knew you were safe for the most part, because somebody could shoot at you, but it wasn't going to do much damage.
Yeah, I think that was one of the big things with, like, especially on release, and they definitely come out of it. It felt like with Fallout 76, they didn't want to commit to any one thing fully. Like, they had some concepts, some ideas of a single-player Fallout, a multiplayer Fallout, a hostile Fallout, a passive Fallout, but none of them were fully implemented.
Yeah, and you can tell that as the game has continued to evolve, like, okay, let's try vault raids, and this isn't quite working, so let's get rid of this, and survival isn't quite working, so let's get rid of that. It's like a big sandbox.
Yeah. And it is interesting because I think they should, going forward, really play up the social aspect, because in my opinion, I would say one of the single best updates the game has ever gotten were the vendors, the player vendors.
Yeah. Yep.
Just being able to go to someone's camp and just check out what they built, or just casually interact with other people hanging out there. It's amazing.
Well, it gives you a reason to go to their place.
Yeah.
And to even know where it is.
And to check out people's camps and appreciate them. Like the HOA, I'm a big fan of theirs because they make a big deal of that, where they actually will go around and rate people's camps, and you get to check out how people have built and get ideas of your own, and it makes it really uniquely social.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I love that update. And I would love to see more of that, a more either team-focused or social-focused experience going forward.
I wish we'd be able to...
A lot of sense.
Sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I wanted to even back then, I wish we were able to build closer to each other so we could actually create settlements of our own. That would be a game changer.
Well,
Yeah,
they
I
had
think that was the idea
concept.
behind workshops, like the whole trying to build up a settlement from this little thing, and we all work together. But then it's like they kind of like mashed in PvP there at the beginning, and so then that became an element of the PvP rather than an element of, hey, if we all collectively build up this workshop, we're all going to get a greater payout of resources.
Yeah. And but wasn't there, I want to say it was Pete Hines, and maybe it was before the release of the game, where they were tossing around the idea of you being able to combine camps next to each other into like a mega camp, or maybe it was after they mentioned that.
Yeah, I think that was something that they talked about that didn't
Never
happen.
made it way.
Yeah. And I don't know if that's because of build issues or... Because even now, you can't really get too close to people.
I mean, imagine if you log in, but your friend doesn't log in. Do you end up with like a half
a
built
camp?
camp? Yeah, like how does... Like I can imagine there's some definite difficulties with that. Or, what if you and like 10 people build this mega structure together, but then all of a sudden you've used up all these resources and items that like overload the server infrastructure. I can imagine that there's some difficulties around that. But if they were able to figure that out and you could build your own Diamond City, that would be amazing.
Yeah, that'd be incredible.
Could you imagine if they could figure out persistent builds so that you could have a faction private server? Where whether your friends were logged in or not, you could have your own town that you could hang out in and invite other people to. I think that would be awesome.
Right, and then fill with your own NPCs because you've kind of friended the settlers or whoever, and now they live in your little place.
Oh, yeah.
That would be amazing.
I think it's interesting from like a lot of games do like community events where at the end of it they get a reward. I think it'd be interesting like a community event of like, we need 100,000 steel. And once we get that, and that takes like a month or, I'm just shooting out a number, that'd probably take people like 3 days to do.
I think I've been saying that since the beginning of 2019. I think I made a video like saying things Fallout 76 needs. I think that would be incredible. Like, just whatever. Let's say, I think a faction focus is something else they should implement. Like, so all these people have played Fallout games for years, have these strong allegiances to the Brotherhood, the Enclave, whatever it may be. And yet in the social interactions, there's no real way to actually use that. So like an in-game event, it's like, I don't know, you could be part of the Enclave or you could work for the Brotherhood. One of them's going to get this new vendor location at this otherwise unused settlement. And whoever gets the most Scorch Beast Queen kills will get it, or something along those lines.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
That would be amazing.
Yeah, I just can't, because so many other games do stuff like that. I've always found it so surprising that with this one, where you have this really beautiful map, you have people who already love certain factions, it would just make so much sense.
They did a little bit of that before the end of last year when they were challenging us to,
Project Clean Appalachia.
Yeah, that was an amazing experience where people actually banded together.
Yeah.
And everyone was focused on killing Scorch. Everyone was focused on, dropping nukes. And it felt like we had objectives and rewards that we were contributing towards as a community.
Yeah, I would love that. I would love that with permanent changes to the map. And it's like, then every time you go to this new vendor, whatever the permanent change is, you'll be like, oh yeah, I've helped get this.
Yeah, you feel a sense of ownership of that space.
Yeah, exactly.
It would almost at some point be like Minecraft servers, where if you're able to hop from one person's server to the next, you could end up with something that's completely different because they've been building over, months of time and have very little in common with what the original landscape was like. Yeah. That could be really cool.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of stuff I think that conceptually they could do with the game, and I'm excited to see where they go with like their year 2 DLC plans.
Yeah, so let's get back into a little bit more of your perspective on things. What keeps you coming back to Fallout 76? Is it this a general enjoyment of the game? Is it creating content? Is it, being excited for each of the new releases and what, new patches and things are bringing to the game?
Yeah, it's probably predominantly creating content, but really as a result of the final two. Like, I just think it's a ton of fun to track the game and like follow what happens in the game, out of the game, around the game, and then to put that all into a video and have people watch it is just very rewarding. It creates a weird dynamic with the game, because like when a DLC comes out, at least for many for Fallout 76, I didn't really get to just sit down and take my time with it and enjoy it. I would kind of grind through it to try and find out all of the details around it, get a good understanding of it. But no, I really love making content around the game, and even like some of the more niche communities, like the in-game economy, like the trader economy, when maybe there's a hack that affects that, or just this new meta change and people are selling something different. I find that stuff so interesting with this online Fallout, compared to like making Fallout 4 videos is fun, but it's so much more isolating. It's just me playing alone.
Yeah.
Well, this has become so much more dynamic because certain things will be nerfed and then there's a new meta. So everyone tries to switch over to that. Like, people are worried that Bloodied is going away, so everyone's focusing on builds right now.
Yeah.
Right, and then the player-based economy, everybody is, so like you have the cap limits for your characters unless you have a bunch of mules, but the 5.56 ammo is a big market economy if you're trying to buy or sell anything. But if they add ammo conversion to the game, which that's kind of a rumor that they might be doing,
maybe.
That's going to change the economy entirely, which is unlike any, like, that's a conversation that's never been had in the world of Fallout.
Yeah, all that stuff, like those big market moving catalysts, I find very, very interesting to cover. But even just the game overall and how it evolves, how it changes, like I do really wonder, like, will it ever be regarded as like the No Man's Sky approach, where it was a bad game and now just generally No Man's Sky, a lot of people look at it as a good game. Will Fallout 76 ever hit that point?
What do you think it'll take to get there?
I think Wastelanders is a good start, and I've said this in a few videos, one of my big concerns with Wastelanders isn't even so much the content, but it's more so, alright, Fallout 76 launched with problems. Most people could agree that, probably should have been delayed or something else should have been done. But then Bethesda had a year to fix it, and the game got better, undoubtedly a lot better. But at the end of 2019, it's not like Fallout 76 was all the issues were gone or there weren't any new issues to pop up. So one of my main concerns is really with Bethesda and their handling of things, whether it be there's not enough people working on it or they're focusing on the wrong things. But I think actual changes internally at Bethesda will be the core thing. Because even if Wastelanders delivers, 2 months down the line, is there going to be some other new controversy, whether it be an inventory steal hack, a $15 cosmetic, or $15 utility item, whatever it may be.
Do you think that it's gotten to the point now where there was so much negative press in the beginning that it's kind of like still being with someone who cheated on you, in a sense, where you're always going to blow something small out of proportion because of what happened before?
Yeah, I think that is a major problem with the game. Like a lot of the stories, like in particular, what was it, the moldy helmet? With the GameStop moldy helmet?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, that wasn't...
It was a non-story. And like, even when I made a video on it, I said in the video, I was like, I only am making this video because I feel obligated to, because so many other people are covering it so poorly. They were saying
such a stupid article.
Yeah, and it was like, people are saying it's all the Power Armor editions, where it's like, no, it's not. It literally says that. And I don't know, there's been a few times now where I felt the need to cover something due to lazy coverage, where otherwise I was like, this is irrelevant, it's a non-story.
And there's not a lot of accountability with a lot of these independent writers who write for different magazines and gaming blogs, so they can kind of do whatever.
Yeah, they just do that, and then it's like, oh, sorry, we were totally wrong, but we'll throw an update at the top that maybe, 10% of the original readers will see, if that?
Right.
So
yeah, it's crazy because changing the market sentiment, like the public sentiment about something like this, could very well tank somebody's career.
Yeah.
it's I mean, there's definitely a moral responsibility to at least try to get the information right.
Yeah,
Before
I agree.
just tank everything. The other thing is, from the perspective of people who are fans of these games, you would think that more people would want things to get better and would contribute, positivity towards it. Not a blind eye to the problems. That doesn't help it get better either. But the same way constructive criticism works, note the problem, but then stay on the side of, I hope they fix it. This is what would fix it. Why don't we rally together and say, hey guys, let's fix it the right way, and we'll stick with you.
Yeah.
Because then we all get a better product in the end,
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm really curious to see with Wasteland. Like, obviously, the content is going to be very important, but also the direction Bethesda takes things after that, and just the level of bug fixes or anti-cheat, those kinds of things that we start to see with some of those updates. I think that'll be a big defining factor outside of just how good the DLC part is itself.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that there's oftentimes when I've seen large companies like this make the kinds of decisions that it seems like they're making internally, what they're doing is they seem to be focusing on the short-term gains.
Yeah.
And usually that's because of investors or pressure from the board to hit certain goals for whatever quarter, those kinds of things. And what that does in the long term is it turns their community against them, because the community feels like that they are no longer the important part of the focus for the company. So hopefully, somebody like EA gets the message after years and years and years, and then they put out a new Star Wars game that is focused on the things the community wants, and all of a sudden the community's like, oh no, this is great, keep doing this is what we want. Hopefully that hits the bottom line in a way that's so obvious to the people making these decisions that they go, okay, we need to shift the focus to having enough people in the background actually working on and developing things the way the community wants in order to move this forward correctly. So I think you're 100% right about that. It's not just any one change or expansion or whatever that's going to fix it. It's a total change of attitude in the way that the company as a whole is approaching the product. I only hope that the community gives them enough chance to, should that happen, to note that that's what's happening and say, okay, good. Now they're doing things the way that we hoped they would, and they're prioritizing our wants because we're the consumer, And
I think one thing that does get me hopeful around that is the fact that they delayed not only Wastelanders, but Doom Eternal, which both of those were two massive Q4 releases originally. And to remove everything, so then Q4 for Bethesda of last year was pretty quiet. Like, that's a lot of money you took off the table and moved into the next year. So that gets me really hopeful that they're actually paying attention. Although then, of course, even though there was a bunch of positive press around the Wastelanders delay, 1 week later we got Fallout First, which kind of tainted that, I guess, a little for some people. But
yeah, I posted a video on the self-plug, the Robots Radio YouTube channel, where I questioned it, like 2020 Bethesda Redemption, and I noted some of that stuff, that it seems like with the focus of Bethesda Game Days coming up, being more on the community, the thing that happened with, and it's mostly ZeniMax, but it's still Bethesda, the event in Vegas that I went to for Elder Scrolls Online, was very well done, very community focused, good on all of them. They're doing some awesome stuff. And then, like you noted, the delay of some of these other releases, it seems like they're getting the message, and they're taking the time to make the community the focus and to really focus on the stuff. They even announced no payable downloadable content or whatever it was for Doom.
No
microtransactions. Yeah, the design manager, whoever it was, made an announcement about that. So, yeah, I think they're starting to get it.
And the return to Steam, that's another big one.
That's true.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
Yeah. So, where do you, focusing just on Fallout, in the long term, where do you see the Fallout franchise going? Like, let's say things work out well, the Wastelanders goes well, they start to turn the community opinion. What do you think is the long term, both for this game and the franchise as a whole?
So this is actually a video I made not too long ago, and I think pretty strongly that we don't see Fallout 5 for a long time as a result of Fallout 76. And I think it's something which, who knows if it's real, but there was a leak from 2017 about Fallout 76. Like, the leak was I think it was the Rust clone one, where it was like Bethesda's working on Fallout 76. It's a Rust clone, which maybe it's fake, but someone in 2017 knowing the name Fallout 7, that is an incredibly lucky guess, if it was a guess. And in that, they said that there's not going to be an Elder Scrolls 6 anytime soon because ESO's doing so well. And if you look at Bethesda, or ZeniMax, I guess technically, they have, with the Elder Scrolls franchise, this online MMO game that can consistently bring fans of Elder Scrolls new content. Now, they did a similar thing with Fallout, and for both those franchises, they took considerably long breaks. So I think a big reason we see Fallout 76 with this game as a service multiplayer game is they can continuously release expansions for it while focusing on Starfield and then the Elder Scrolls 6. Then I think we see Starfield 2 before Fallout 5.
Wow, Starfield 2. Yeah, I'm completely on board with you. It makes sense that from what we've heard from Todd is that the developers wanted to do something other than Elder Scrolls Fallout, Fallout. And so they're doing Starfield. And then the expectation is, of course, that they're moving back to Elder Scrolls 6.
I think it's confirmed,
then maybe
actually.
A Fallout 5. That's been confirmed, right? But then maybe a Fallout 5. But you're thinking a Starfield 2. So
I just think it would be weird to do Fallout 5. I mean, I would personally probably... I mean, we'll see how Starfield does. I'm sure that's a big factor. But like after all this time, you finally do a new IP. And let's just say it's really successful. I mean, Fallout 4 was the best-selling Bethesda game of all time. So if Starfield carries some of that momentum, then you're going to make the Elder Scrolls 6, and then you're going to make Fallout 5. That's like, what, an 8-year break for your totally new IP? That's
even after being able to play Skyrim on your TI-87 calculator?
Yeah. But that's because they had all this talk about wanting to do something different, but then they're going to do it once and then go right back to the same for another 8 years. It would just seem weird to me to leave a new IP on the back burner for so long to pay attention to these other two.
I guess I'm taking this another step forward. I don't mean to jump on top of this, but what I'm thinking is that if 76 can continue to evolve and can continue to get expansions that do include NPCs and maybe new zones and those kinds of things, then really at some point it does become Fallout 5.
Yeah, I think that's Bethesda's hope. They will graduate, like I assume at some point they'll have that kind of ace in the hole. They could whip out, the expansion that brings you back to DC. So you get to re-experience all those Fallout 3 locations. I'm sure that'll be huge.
I would love that. That would be great.
So I'm sure at some point that'll come out. Like if player count started to dwindle, or even if they just want to do it down the line, maybe later this year or maybe early next year. There's a lot of really cool stuff they could do with Fallout 76. And now that they're moving back towards that story-focused, single-player-esque content, I think we'll see more and more other Fallout fans get interested in the game.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope they knock it out of the park. I know we're all on your side, Bethesda.
Yeah.
Just do awesome stuff, and we're going to be there to, enjoy it. Very cool. Yeah. So going back to some of your work as a YouTuber, a content creator, I think a lot of people have questions about this because a lot of people would love to be focusing their careers around video games rather than whatever it is they end up doing in order to just pay the bills, right?
Yeah.
So how do you feel about working with YouTube and some of the changes and the algorithms and all of that kind of stuff? Like, is it difficult to keep up with it? Do you feel like, it's just a platform like anything else and it's going to fluctuate and change over time?
I think it's interesting because with the YouTube algorithm, and I feel like a lot of people, especially just everyday viewers, don't realize you don't really get like a printout of like, this video did bad because of the algorithm. Like if a video of mine does poorly, maybe people just weren't interested, or maybe it was the algorithm. It's sometimes really hard to tell which that is. And like sometimes I get a video that does really bad. I'm like, all right, there's probably some YouTube algorithmic force that caused that. But a lot of times, it's just, you can see, especially when the algorithm helps a video, you're like, okay, so YouTube likes this one. I don't focus on it too much though. I know maybe I should be, and I know other people definitely do. But I don't know. I think at the end of the day, when it comes to YouTube, if you're making entertaining content, you'll be rewarded. Like that's the end goal, is to make people want to watch something you're creating. And if you could do that, even if you only do it once a month, people will come to you.
Now, do you ever stream gameplay? I know YouTube is focusing a lot more on YouTube gaming,
Yeah.
and the live side of it, and trying to compete with Twitch. And that's one of the big rumblings in the industry, is that a year from now or so, YouTube is like the sleeping giant, right? They've got billions, literally 2 billion users on their platform. At some point, you put up a live stream, and now, I mean, not only do you have all these subscribers, but you also have this, the algorithm that's at work, and all these other potentials for drawing people to live streams. How do you feel about all that?
So that's actually something interesting, kind of bouncing off the algorithm idea. That's one of the only things that I've become very wary about due to the algorithm. So with the YouTube algorithm, there's this thing, and it's hard to track how effective it is exactly, but it's very trend focused. So if you have a bunch of videos do well in a row, you'll be kind of put on a trend, and the algorithm will promote you more. So there's been a lot of discussion among certain YouTubers or in YouTube groups I'm in, that around the live stream effect on that. Because naturally, when I do a live stream, and I've done a few in the past on my channel, let's say it only gets 10,000 views while my average upload gets 50,000. There's speculation that could actually hurt that trend algorithm feature thing. So it's made me more wary to kind of just on the cusp, just throw up a live stream, because I would love to do that. Just I'm playing this game, even if it's not Fallout, like, hey, come watch me play it, or even play with me. That'd be fun, like a community focused thing.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, I'm definitely gonna live stream more. If YouTube wants to give me one of those fat live streaming contracts, I will gladly take it. But like with Wastelanders, in particular with new content, like when the Outer Worlds came out, I was live streaming. When Fallout 76 came out, I was live streaming, especially the E3 events. I love live streaming those. People could see my reaction. I see other people's reaction to new announcements. But yeah, with Wastelanders, I'll definitely be doing a lot of live streams. But it's a weird middle ground.
Interesting. Yeah. I'm trying to keep my finger on the pulse of all this, because I dabble in a lot of content creation, and podcasting is clearly the mainstay. Like our shows are doing well, but I'm trying to do more in YouTube, and I've dabbled in streaming on and off. I've never been consistent with it, but like you said, like I enjoy playing a game and being able to chat with people or play with them live. Like just even if that's never going to be something that makes a lot of money or anything, it's just kind of fun to do. Yeah. But it would be terrible if it tanks your stats for like your next 10 videos because you just decided to do a live stream. Yeah, that's rough. Now, where do you think you're going to go with this? What's your plan for the future?
I don't know. It's actually very interesting, because I've not that I've had issues with this per se, but I'm in a very weird point in life right now where I don't have an answer. Where for the past, basically since I was born, I had an answer to what I was doing next. So
when you were born, what was your plan?
Yeah, I know.
To try and take over the world.
Try to climb on top of that cabinet. But because right now, after graduating college and doing YouTube, it's like I plan to go to grad school, I think, at one point. Originally, I had planned to immediately finish and go to grad school, but then I started doing better on YouTube, so I put that on hold for now. So I don't really know. Like, I would like to go to grad school, hypothetically, down the line. But like, if my YouTube channel crashes and burns, I'll go back to grad school, and I'll be fine. I really loved my education, and I kind of miss being a student. But yeah, I'm going to keep making YouTube videos, obviously. Hopefully we have Wastelanders this year, Cyberpunk this year, Doom, but Starfield maybe this year. That would be huge. So I will cover all of those games and whatever future Bethesda and other people do. But no, I don't know. I would like to work on bigger content. I've been slowly getting into more like 20 to 30 minute videos as of late, because those take a lot more time, but I think they're a lot more rewarding when people watch them or if they do well. But yeah, I'm very curious even myself what I'll be doing right now in 3 years on February 16th of 2023.
Yeah, interesting. You know what else I think is really interesting is that the gaming industry at large hasn't really reached out to successful content creators and pulled them in. You know, it seems kind of strange to me that, you know, like somebody like you've proven that you can create a very successful YouTube channel. You can create a community that's built around that, a bunch of people who subscribe and regularly come back for that content. So clearly they're into you, your take on things, the way you present stuff. It seems like one of the potentials for the industry is if they can find a way to capitalize on bringing some people like that internal onto their teams and doing a better job in their own marketing departments of creating content around stuff.
I know Bethesda has, actually.
Yeah, I think there's change in the air for this year.
I think it's very new. I think that's like, okay, so I don't want to name any names or anything, but when I went to the Greenbrier event, played Fallout 76 early, I also got to meet a lot of people at Bethesda. One of the very well-known community managers, actually two of the very well-known community managers on Fallout 76 that were like specifically hired more recently, and I think specifically tasked with Fallout 76, were actually content creators. I don't think full-time, like they had day jobs doing other things in media or press, but they were, one was a streamer and one was a YouTuber.
Right. Yeah, and it would be interesting if those people were not only tasked with also being marketers, but you know, regularly creating content.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know they have the Fallout 76 stream with the two community managers.
Right.
Lady Devon.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. The other thing that boggles me is podcasts. You think it's such a good way to get your messaging out. You know?
Yeah.
But
like, I don't know. Do you guys remember that Todd Howard podcast? Because Todd Howard doesn't do any real press outside of like E3 season. And he had a podcast. I think it was like the Game Notebook or something along that. And it was a few months before E3. And I feel like I myself listened to that podcast like 3-4 times. Because he would talk like at a high level at the future projects. I think this was just before Fallout 76 was announced, actually. And yeah, I think Bethesda, I mean, I don't know. It's a slippery slope with that because you don't want to say the wrong thing, or everything you say, especially around Fallout 76, will be looked at under a microscope. But if you had even just like a developer podcast with Fallout 76, like, hey, this is why we did this on a monthly basis, or this was our thoughts or feelings behind it, I think that could do a lot of good for Bethesda and even other game companies. Not like a type out, but an hour long form podcast explaining your thoughts, opinions, and ideas on something.
Yeah,
I think it would go a long way insofar as making the community, and even those of us who've been really loyal to the game, feel like we're being heard.
Yeah.
I think for a lot of people, just being acknowledged by a large company and letting them know, we hear you, we're working on it, we did this because of this, or we can't do that and this is why. Just knowing that people are listening, I think, can go a long way to shifting how people feel.
Yeah, actually,
bridging the gap,
Funny you say that. It's like almost not a meme, but it's a funny occurrence, and maybe you guys have experienced this also. I know a lot of YouTubers who you'll see on your video a really mean comment saying something, and then you'll respond to it. Like, I've done this, I've responded to it, and I'll be like, hey, why'd you say that, or why are you being so mean, blah blah blah, and they'll come back with, oh my god, I'm a huge fan, I'm sorry, I didn't even mean that. It happens so often. We're just that little like response, and you get a total 360 on that person's opinion.
Oh, you're a human being.
I think that's what it comes down to sometimes, though. It's a voice on a screen versus, oh, you're actually interacting. Yo, you're actually a person with feelings and thoughts and emotions.
Right. Modern marketing is all about authenticity. And a lot of these old brands are having a hard time with that because they were known as, the tried and true, this is what everybody buys, and my parents bought this, so I buy this. And today's consumers are no longer like that. We don't have brand loyalty. What we do is we look for authenticity, and we look for things that really meet us where we are. And it seems like a really interesting way to bridge that gap.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Cool. So speaking of trolls, people, other than being able to respond and get the person who turns around and goes, oh, I'm sorry, I really do love your thing. How do you deal with the internet and the craziness and all the, I don't know, you're putting yourself out there all the time, multiple times a week, and you're going to get every response out under the sun. How do you deal with that?
I actually wrote for one of my college classes. I don't remember. I think it was about a TV show, and it was like TV shows facing backlash. And I think it was on my final. I had to write like a essay on it. And I think one thing that's really great, but really bad also about the internet, but mostly good, you could basically find a group for everything. So even the people with this crazy idea that makes up only 0.0001% of the population, you could find other people that think that way. And then if you see 1,000 people that think that way, and they all come at you at the same time, it might make you kind of question things, be like, oh no, am I wrong? Are they right? And I think that's just something I always keep in mind with the internet, that there's not crazy ideas, but there's always going to be people with out there ideas, and that's okay. I mean, I don't think everyone has to agree. When it comes to negative feedback, or especially like criticism or mean comments, I don't agree with a lot of YouTubers in the regard that I think most people just write it off. I think that's the easiest approach. You just say, it's just someone that's angry or jealous of me or a troll, and what they're saying is not true. And that is easy in the sense you could just kind of ignore it or forget about it. But I think for a lot of times when it comes to that, it's packaged poorly, but doesn't necessarily have the wrong message. And so it might be really mean what they're saying, but a lot of times I feel like there's actually a genuine criticism there. There's something I could learn as a creator from that feedback, even though it's mean feedback. And that's kind of the thought process I try and take when it comes to a lot of that stuff. I mean, there's some times where it's just misinformation, and that in particular is one thing that I really don't like. I'll just be like, if I say to someone, hey, this is not really true, but why do you think that? Like, am I putting off the wrong message? Is it a perceptual issue, or are you just deliberately trying to spread lies?
Yeah, I think there's a real fine line between someone having an authentic gripe that's stemming from a particular place versus just being mean for mean's sake. An example of that, like Rifle Gaming, I've been a fan of for a while, who did the nuke test videos.
Yes.
And towards the end of last year, he released a video that was kind of upsetting, where he was essentially really being trolled by a lot of people who are trying to get him to stop playing the game so it'll go away, which is just the most bizarre, tribal, insane thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
And that is just negative for negative's sake.
That's not how this works. That's not how anything works.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
One of my favorite creators, anytime he gets like a critique that's just like over the top negative, just volatile, and just responds with, who hurt you? like, you're just a miserable human. I'm sorry that your existence is this bad, but like, you are clearly not responding to this in any sane way.
Joe Rogan that said that? Or it was like an old quote. I think it was like a viral Twitter tweet.
Oh, was it?
A viral tweet. And he was like, if nobody that's like tweeting super negative things on the internet that go over the top or like really focus on being mean to one person is having a good life. Like, your outside life can't be wonderful. And that is something else I think about when I see messages like that. It's like sometimes I just want to have like a snap reaction, just like try and destroy the dude in that moment, or like bring more attention to him from my audience, because it like feels good. It's like, oh, this guy's being mean to me, I'll get a bunch of my followers view. But then normally I'll stop myself, no, that's dumb, that's childish, and I don't know what this guy is going on outside of this. Maybe he had a really bad day, maybe his girlfriend just broke up with him, whatever.
Right. And most of the time I think that they are, and I've mentioned this on shows before, but I think most of the craziness we see on the internet, not all of it, but a lot of it comes from really emotional teenagers.
Yeah, no, I think
kids
you're right.
Who are just bored and grumpy and, just have nothing else to do. And they just post crazy crap.
Yeah.
So guys, do you have any other last questions for Mr. Head here before we wrap up?
No, I think we've covered all the bases. Now we can talk about this because you're going to be at Bethesda Game Days.
I am.
And if people didn't catch your video, do you want to talk a little bit about what you'll be doing there?
Yeah, so fortunately, I asked them for an appointment that they call, it's like meeting, I guess, but for all the cons, you get appointments to play or view games early. So fortunately, I do have an appointment with Bethesda to play Wastelanders 20 minutes a little bit early. So on February 28th, the Thursday, I forget, at 1:20 p.m., I will play Wastelanders for the first time. So I'm very excited for this. It's only 20 minutes, so I don't know how I don't know. I'm like, is it create a character included in that 20 minutes or? But either way, I'm very excited to get to finally experience it.
But you can talk about it after, unlike the people that are in the PTS, right?
I think. I mean, there's been no yes or no about that. So considering they didn't say, I assume yes. I mean,
like we were wondering if it's going to be like a locked zone where you can operate within a certain.
Yeah.
Or,
I mean,
or how that's going to work.
Not that much though. Like,
it's really not. No.
That's because, especially if you want to like see the world somewhat. So I'm very curious to see how it goes. Because even actually with that, I'm kind of concerned that people are going to play 20 minutes and try and have a comprehensive conclusion on the DLC as overall, which let's say the DLC is even 14 hours of content. 20 minutes isn't going to probably give you the full look. So it's going to be interesting, I think, the days following PAX East as we see the media and even just everyday people reactions.
One of my favorite videos from the Greenbrier event, where most of the people were sticking around in the forest region, was the one guy that was like, "I'm just gonna run all the way to Watoga." Get it too over my head. Yeah, those videos were great. Well, that's actually one thing I'm hopeful for. At the Greenbrier, they allowed us to watch as other people played, which was super helpful. Because even though I only got to play for 3 hours, and 3 hours is a really long time. Hopefully at PAX East, if I could watch other people play, it'll give me a better idea of some of the possibilities, you know, just a wider scope of the DLC overall. But yeah. Well, very cool. Well, thank you for wandering into our vault. Yeah, thank you for inviting me here. As nice as it is in here. Yeah. If you want any old stale food of any sort, I think we've got some Dandy Boys. Yeah, that'd be lovely. Did Dave eat? Dave, did you eat them all? I'm sorry, they tasted pretty good with the dirty water that I had sitting around. All right, well, we'll have to dig up some more for next time you come.
We'll give you a canned coffee for the road.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Well, for the road, but that information, right? You guys have that.
Oh, gosh. I'm getting a little hungry. I don't know. I need some more of those Dandy Boy apples.
Oh, we can just, after we eat, maybe? I mean, whatever.
Ken, say something.
Mr. Handy, execute Order 66.
Order 66?
What?
No, 67. 67. Not 66. 67.
Order 67. No, 66 is to set the place on fire. 67 is remove Mr. JUICEHEAD.
Today's a hell of a day to die, commie.
Yes. Don't remove his head. Just all of him, all at once. Bye. Bye.
Farewell.
Farewell. Thanks for coming. All right. Well, that was a lot of fun. Now, one of the things that we talk about on this show regularly, and we went over last week builds, and we talked about the bloodied build. And last week, I guess is the show coming out weekly? This show's coming out like bi-weekly.
There's some time distortion in the vault, right? I think.
Yeah. I'm in the habit of saying last week, but anyway, we want to give you guys some ideas that you can take into the wasteland with your Fallout 76 characters. And this week we're delving into the world of tanking and what that looks like in Fallout 76.
Excuse me, masters, but the day grows short and your listeners can use a little Fallout 101. By God, if I had hands, I would strangle the life out of you people.
So, my main character, my main playstyle is tanking. And I wanted to kind of start this conversation off of differentiating between like a bloodied build, a junkied build, which are more PvP, whereas there's PvE builds within the game. So do you think that PvE builds are worth going for, even if you're a solo player?
Even if you're a solo player?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think a lot of people still play a lot of PvE, trying to grind for specific gear, leveling in order to customize their character more, those kinds of things. What do you think, Ken?
To be honest, I don't know enough, partly because I swore off PvP. So I never really worried too much about my specific build. But like we talked about in the last video, I just run Bloodied Unyielding, and I die a lot, but it seems effective for me. I think in PvP though, with a melee, I would get mopped up pretty bad.
Good, because I was seeking validation with that question, because tanks are real. We are out there. We're a thing. We're gonna take all the damage, and it's gonna be for the whole team. That was a so you all fell for it.
We all fell for it. So, question, because when we're talking like tanking, DPS, these are terms that are very much usually associated with MMOs, and Fallout 76 is kind of a hybrid sort of MMO. There's not like, this isn't World of Warcraft, right? Where you have like your tank and your healer, and then your DPS people who are all chewing the damage, and there's not really a way to, as a tank in something like 76, to aggro the enemy just on you, you know, like that really isn't a thing. So for people who are coming at this from that perspective, how is this different? How does this work?
So I have different opinions about it. From like, obviously you're going to pull enemies based on the damage that you're doing to them, so you would need to have a high damage yield if you're aggroing. But really, from if you're talking about taking, like from a big picture situation, tanking is just counteracting damage on your team. So your whole job as a tank within an MMO, within like Elder Scrolls Online or World of Warcraft or other games, you're trying to make sure that your team doesn't take damage. A healer is trying to make sure that any damage they take is healed, but your tank is more focused on the environment around them to try to mitigate that. So there's a few different ways to do a tank within Fallout 76 in itself. One of the things, before we even get into armor and setup, one of the things that I didn't think about until I was doing this segment there are two perk cards in the charisma tree that are called Animal Friend and Wasteland Whisper. And so what those do is, if you have a high enough charisma, there's a 75% chance that you will be able to pacify any creature in Fallout 76, especially if you have both of them active. So it's almost like, instead of aggroing things to you, you're essentially pacifying everything out there so that there's less things attacking everyone in general. Now, they're not attacking you.
So it's like a form of CC.
Yes.
Yeah. Crowd control. Yeah.
Right. It's like a almost a druid effect of crowd control within the game. That's kind of like a high, like if you're looking for things that particularly stop that, that's more of a power that would be, I guess, useful for people who are trying to work in a group and have a tank that's trying to corral enemies. Like if you're in a Scorch Beast fight and you've got all these creatures coming after you, being able to pacify them and just like say, okay, give me 60 seconds. I need like 60 seconds to work on this particular thing. I think is really useful from that perspective. But if you go deeper into it and you look at armor situations, there's a very big debate between power armor and regular armor, just from the legendary effect that regular armor has if you have a good roll, as opposed to power armor within that situation. So
so how do you land on that debate?
So I know I kind of differ from a lot of other people, but for me, for what I use, especially heavy guns, getting those perks from heavy guns, particularly the stabilized perk, which has anti-armor. I think if you got rank 3, it's like plus 50 accuracy, plus 50 anti-armor on any heavy gun. And to me, that's better than most of the perks that you're going to get from a build that has legendary effects on your armor per se, because not only that, you're having mods on your power armor, which is a whole different way of going about it. I tend to fall more in the power armor though I haven't experimented much with legendary armor, which, Ken, I know that you kind of fall differently from wearing power armor for the most part.
Yeah, on my original character, my first main character that I don't even play really anymore, I went for a power armor explosives build, using back then it was the 2-shot explosive combat shotgun rather, was really overpowered. I was doing a ridiculous amount of damage. They nerfed that, and then that character became pretty useless. So since I've been running melee with unyielding armor on my second character that I play all the time now, I don't use power armor anymore, with the exception of that one time that I went in, did a vault raid and hated it. That being said, my particular build is garbage when it comes to the
garbage build. I haven't heard of that one.
When it comes to doing the queen, like as far as the queen goes, the people that run power armor with like Gatling plasmas or miniguns are considerably more effective at really taking down the queen's health than my health. If you were running a stealth melee build, until they nerfed that a little bit, like there was somebody in our group that with a melee build was killing the queen in like a few hits.
Holy crap. That's just
they were
nuts.
stacking damage multipliers and to get their damage really high up there, but they can't do that anymore.
When you're talking about queens, I think it's interesting because bloodied builds and junkies builds and those like that you're really trying to pump those numbers and damage in, they're more about like damage per shot. So like I was playing yesterday and was just like screwing around in front of I think it's Berkeley Springs train station, and I was in like the full like heavy armor and I had my ultrasight Gatling plasma and was just like engaging in like fun PvP, like just, we're waiting around on something, let's just like fight each other, and getting totally destroyed by a bloodied build where they are looking at, I have like 9,000 damage per shot on my my like handmade rifle that I have. Whereas in a queen fight, you're more looking at damage per second, which if you perk it right and you're getting anti-armor with the stagger, with all the things, a minigun that's doing, 50 like damage per shot is amazing, because just the amount of consistent damage that you're putting out. Essentially, the power armor builds are more like marathon runners, whereas the bloody builds are more like a 100-meter dash kind of situation.
If you get a minigun, one of my friends says, if you get a minigun that has on the end of it, you go right up to the queen, because as you're shooting, you're also grinding her. So it creates like a grinding effect, like a melee effect, as you're also
like a really sexual experience.
Yes, you're really grinding into her.
Grinding up
you're gonna want
to
get around to the backside, so she can't swipe at you.
Get right on those teats.
And make sure to call her afterward, because that's the nice thing to do.
Yeah, maybe take her out beforehand. Treat her nice.
I'll take her down beforehand.
Wow.
And here we are yet again, folks.
Notice me, Queen Senpai.
Oh my god.
So I've played around.
Man, we derailed that. Go ahead, Dave. Bring us back.
How the hell did all right, never mind.
I've played around a good deal. Damn it.
With the queen.
What a segue.
I have had fun utilizing explosives in my free time, and that's a great way to put it. And
there you go.
So I understand, like, from like the explosive legendary effect. I just like launching the Fat Man. I just think that that's a very fun weapon. It's probably I would say it's the most fun weapon in Fallout, because you're like doing your little mini nuclear explosion. But in the game, they're not. Unless you use Demolition Expert, you've got like 50 mini nukes, which, I think that the weight on this is like 3 to 5 pounds per mini nuke. Whereas if you take it down 90%, they're much easier to carry around. If you have a lot of those, it's a lot of fun, but it really doesn't do that much damage in a particularly high level area. And so I have an explosives build that I use when I want to go like have fun, and it's like I'll go mess with my friends' workshops, and they have like mini nukes raining down on them from above. But particularly I stick to more of an energy weapon kind of build, because all of the Gatling laser guns, especially the legacy explosive ones, are insane in a lot of fights. Not in particular PvP, but in PvE, like when you're fighting any creatures, you rarely have any problems. But my favorite gun that I use from my heavy weapons build is not it's not an energy gun, but it is a minigun with the vampiric effect. I don't use stim packs anymore. I literally shoot this
You
gun.
just suck the health out of it.
Exactly, and because the vampiric effect is measured by damage per shot, it immediately, I mean, it's like my health bar can bounce back almost. It's faster than a stim pack, like truthfully, if you have something going. And the vampiric effect is weird because not only does it work on the living, it works on the dead. So, for example, I have a vampiric, vampiric knife, and that if I'm just going around areas and I don't want to like use a stim pack or I'm low on them because there can be a pain to craft, and it's like, do you really want to use that or do you want to do something else? If you just like knife a dead body for like a good 5 seconds, you're back up to 100% health. And same way with the minigun.
Nuts.
So if you position
I had
yourself,
no idea it worked like that.
yeah, if you position yourself in a corner with a dead body and you're like pinned down and you just like rain bullets into the dead body, you're set.
I'm glad that ended with rain bullets into the dead body because that was getting a little disturbing.
I tried that once with the interloper. I was low health. I totally slashed away at that thing, and I woke up in Skyrim.
Huh.
It's weird.
Weird. I think you summoned a Daedric portal or something.
The blood of the ancients heals me.
Huh. So who knew vampires can feed on the
Yeah,
dead?
vampires can feed on the dead and the living. And like eventually, if you really want to, if you don't have some with that vampire effect, it's not worth it. Like if you're doing like if you have a vampire's like harpoon gun, you will be kind of useless. Unless, of course, now here's the secret. Here's a real secret for the heavy weapons players out there. I'll give you this is like the deets.
The scoop, the skinny.
Yeah. Harpoon guns are great infinite ammo weapons. For some reason, if you get the Fletcher's attachment to your harpoon gun, it makes
flechette, yeah.
Yeah. Flechette, yeah, whatever. Fancy English. We're out here in Appalachia speaking.
Flechette. It's the French word.
It's a French word.
The flechette.
If you get that mod for that weapon, anytime you shoot anything with the weapon, you're going to get 3 to 5 harpoons. So if you can one-shot most enemies, I mean, if you're doing headshots, even in Harper's Ferry or Watoga base level enemies, you're getting 5 harpoons per one shot. So it's like an infinite ammo weapon at that point.
That's just dark magic.
It's somehow
defies physics.
It's an eldritch weapon for an eldritch time.
Yeah, so I think what we've done here is we've just exposed the deeper, darker, sinister side of the Fallout universe. That there are some black magics at work here. Because not only we have this eldritch weapon that is multiplying its own ammo, but we have vampires feeding on dead. Also, you said launching the Fat Man earlier, which makes me think about like the title of the new way I have to dive into a pool. That's my new dive.
Release the Kraken! Launch the Fat Man!
Launching the Fat Man!
What is the other name? The one in Fallout 4, the Big Boy?
Big Boy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Launching
right?
the Big Boy.
The Big Boy and the Fat Man.
Big Boy and the Fat Man.
Yeah.
One last thing, particularly on it, is if you're going to run without a vampiric effect on your weapon, you're going to need a lot of stim packs. Your friends in this are super duper, which I think is if you do it rank 3, it's 30% chance to double anything that you craft. And of course, Chemist, which automatically gives you twice the amount of produced chems, like stim packs, and then Dilution, which gives you diluted stim packs. So essentially, if you have the base ingredients like a blood pack or tick blood, that could be up to 16 or 32 stim packs, depending on your setup.
More eldritch magic.
Yes.
Yes. You take that tick blood and you turn it into a stim pack that's health for you, which sounds almost vampiric also.
I dig it.
Dark magics. Dark magics at work. Well, thank you, Dave, for the update on that. I would love to hear if you guys have any thoughts about tank builds and some of the stuff that's working for you currently in Fallout 76.
Right, and I have
when it comes to this stuff.
my builds. I put my 2 power armor builds within the show notes, so you'll be able to see those if you're looking. Or just tweet them out.
Yep.
Tweet at the account, and then I can just link them to you because that's what we did last time.
Yeah, we'll put them up there. Very, very cool. Yeah, and let us know. Feel free to start conversations with us on the Twitter account or on the Discords or wherever wherever you find us, on our shows, the other shows that we do, wherever. Love talking stuff with you guys. So, and maybe you're going to teach us some stuff too that we don't know about, like, hey, we didn't know that thing did that. Like the whole vampiric thing working on dead people. I don't know. I've been running around with vampiric weapons forever and didn't know I could shoot a dead person with it. I didn't think to try.
It's like that in real life.
Yeah, I don't, every time I see a dead person, I don't think, oh, I should shoot that guy. Maybe it'll heal me up. So, cool. All right. Let's move on. So
we went from sex with a Scorched Beast Queen to shooting dead people. Fantastic.
Shooting dead people. Yes, this show is rated M.
You
for
can
mature.
only find this kind of experience on
the Fallout Hub, bringing you the best of dark times and sexy experiences, and sometimes both at the same time.
Presented by Adam and Eve.
Yeah. All right. I see Dave going over there getting his Abraxo box out of the corner.
It's a Dave show today. Let me tell you something.
It is a Dave show. Dave's bringing all the content. Thank you, Dave, for bringing all the content.
Well, I'm just here to produce, and let me tell you something. I'm here to please, not to tease. I went to a.
I'm here to tease, not to please. So.
Yeah, I went to a.
And Ken does both.
I went to a Motown concert, and they said that right before they started the show. But they're all like they're 60s and 70s, so it was rather fun.
Yeah, that is the most Motown thing you could possibly say.
Oh yes.
I am okay. So here's my plan. Before I get up to Boston, I'm gonna watch a lot of Motown content, like interviews with Motown artists, and I'm gonna collect all the best sayings.
Yes.
And then I'm gonna incorporate that into my own persona. So when I meet you, I can say things like, "I'm here to please, not to tease," and give you kind of a
you're gonna
sexy grin.
Yeah, you're gonna end up being Deuce Bigelow, Boston Gigolo.
Yeah, if I can reach that accomplishment, then my life will be done. I'll just fade off into the the other
underhinge.
So now that you're up on your Abraxo box, I see you standing there looking down on us.
And now it's time for the Random Rant, sponsored by Abraxo. When it comes to tough stains such as blood, bodily fluids, or sweet and sour sauce, nothing gets out those stains like Abraxo. Now with 3 times the suds and industrial chemical compounds.
And let's remind everybody what the Abraxo box is. So every show, Dave is going to reach deep into the depths of the internet to pull out the strangest, most obtuse, most bizarre rant about Fallout or Fallout 76, and is going to share that with us today.
Mm-hmm. Yes, from on top of his box.
If I ran it this much,
down on all of us.
Then there would be a real issue. Anyways, back to my rant. This rant is called... This rant.
Oh yes. Wait. Hold on. We have to get the lights. We have to get the right setting. Mr. Handy, turn down the lights, please. Okay. Spotlight.
Hang on. Let me.
Spotlight.
I'm gonna put on some sad violin music right now.
All right.
I'm like making sure the box is nice and taut and ready for.
Here's the second one. You can double. This is a double box moment, I think, for this.
I'm gonna get a fog machine going here. Here we go.
Okay. All right. I think we're ready.
This rant is called The True Endgame. After hours of questing and grinding, you hit level 50. You barely managed to down the Scorched Beast Queen with whatever you had handy, and by luck of some level 345 bloodied bros, somehow survived. Now, the real endgame begins, getting those dank legendary weapons. But it's not enough to get legendaries. It's gotta be the right weapon. This, I say to myself as I hobbled my crippled, irradiated ass back to Berkeley Springs for perhaps the 5th time this week to roll weapons with the Mirelurk damage buff or Ghoul Slayer on it. To date, my quest for Explosive Daka has come up short. I feel like I'm the only one showing up to the Scorched Beast Queen's daily smiting without some crazy legendary effect, leaving me to tickle her belly. Yeah, I'm that guy, coming to the show with light caresses and gentle pettings upon our greatest foe, to the point I think I actually healed the queen. Bloodied weapons never come in the flavor I like using. Not that I like bloody builds to begin with, because that means now I need unyielding to get any kind of effect. The only armor I find with unyielding? Wood. That's right, wooden planks. strapped to my person, like I'm some marginalized Radagast with a militarized effect, fully irradiated and ready to be broken. Why does the medic effect always seem to come in the form of a shotgun? End rant.
Well, I think if you, grind up on the queen the right way, then you might do some healing.
Everything seems today to be about seducing the queen.
There's like a real dark, I feel like we're in an Anne Rice novel today.
This is like some post Valentine's Day weird malaise. Some Harlequin novel from hell.
Yeah.
So I read this rant, and then one of the comments under it, so this is a response to the rant, is they said, "The true end game is vanilla knuckling Scorched Beast while naked."
Oh, I hope we get some Soulsborne stuff going on here.
Yes.
Where people are like, yeah, you haven't really played the real game. Killed a Scorched Beast queen in your underwear with your bare knuckles,
Imagine the amount of first of all, the right build, which I think the people in Fallout 76 Fight Club would 100% understand, considering they do that every week.
Oh yeah.
But getting the right build for that, and then imagining watching that happen. You're trying to you see a Scorched Beast, you're like, all right, I gotta go kill this thing again, and then all of a sudden a naked man jumps out from the trees and just starts leaping up in the air with the mutation effect and is going all to town on the Scorched Beast. Nutso.
One punch and dead. And then that underwear man just vanishes into the sunset.
I think they need to add a very, very rare item in the game called Power Undies.
Power Undies.
The underwear that we've been wearing for the last year.
Right. You put on the Power Undies, and as long as you are wearing that and nothing else equipped, you do 10 billion times damage to punches.
We should just call it Nude Rage.
Nude Rage.
So what do? Do you stick a fusion?
Never Nude Rage.
Do you stick a fusion core just up your butt and then you go to town?
Yes. Yeah, and the undies themselves are shaped like regular underwear with the fusion core in the actual butt part of the underwear.
It's like my energy tail.
Just your energy tail. Yeah, and then it also irradiates you from the inside out.
Well, I have not had very good luck.
You could combine with a friend to form a legendary weapon, where they just kind of use the handle of a sledgehammer, put it right up there, and then start swinging you around.
Yes. They swing you at the enemies and you punch at them while they're wielding you from your buttocks.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That's some erect band stuff that he's cooked up on the side that is going to come out in his next wave of terror.
Oh boy.
Oh, but in response to this rant, how has your luck been with Mama Merg?
Oh,
mine's been terrible. I can level with this stuff. I never get any of the gear I really want.
So I've been saving up. So every time there's a mysterious pick or a legendary sale, that's when I go crazy with my script. And I mean, to date, I've only had 2 really good drops. I got a piece of unyielding forest armor, which was fantastic, 3-star. And then I also got my +1 strength, faster swing speed meat hook that's bloodied. So that is the only weapon that I use now, which is totally god tier. And I got it legitimately, not off somebody I met in a van down by the river.
Oh.
Those are the only 2 things I've ever got off her.
Well, I'm trying to think if there's anything. Most of the stuff that I have gotten has been through has been through trades mainly, except for my vampiric minigun. I got that off of just a 3-star legendary. But most of my stuff that I have tried to turn in with her has been in the same wait for a sale, wait for the mystery pick, wait for a particular event with her, because I mean at that point, for the mystery pick, if you do a 3-star, that's 60 script, but then if you don't like it, you can just turn it back in for 40 script, and so really you're only 20 script down by the end of it. So with those, I guess with that system, you're just kind of running through a lot of it, especially if you've saved up to the max events. I'm waiting until Wastelanders though start rolling that stuff because like the Wastelander, no, not Wastelander, Wild Appalachia, the Sheep Squatch weapons and some of the like the Fixer and stuff, once you had the plans for that, then they would start appearing in the shop, in Mama Merg's shop. Yep. So I'm gonna wait until I have like the plasma caster plan and then try to roll a god tier plasma caster, which will happen in 2031 probably.
So one of the things that this does bring up is this idea that there are some things that are just kind of useless.
Yeah.
Do you think they'll ever get rid of like, I don't know, some of the upgrades are, like it does more damage to, monsters that you are never fighting anyway, or like ghouls. Like ghouls are never really a problem.
I think that
we need Ghoul Slayer.
I think that there's a mod that I use for Fallout 4 that lets you add legendary effects to the weapon, but in order to get a legendary effect on your weapon, you have to have like 100 gold and like 300 crystal and all of these like insane amount of resources to get, especially in that time. I would like to see a place where you could modify like a 3-star legendary to kind of change the effects to get what you want. But I mean, that's kind of, I guess, against the grain of what those, like the whole chase for the perfect roll and the perfect stuff like that. But for a game
in Elder Scrolls
so much, it makes sense.
Yeah, in Elder Scrolls Online, they have the ability to, like, you can get gear that you want, but it might have one quality that's different. And then you can collect enough of an item and then go to a specific crafting area to adjust it. And it takes a certain amount of, items to, you have to collect to do it. So there's still kind of a chase there. And you can't, it's not easy to get enough to just do that with every item that you would ever want. So,
yeah, like there'd have to be something that would penalty or slow you down. Like you would have to have a 3 bloodied something of the same type in order to merge that into something else if you were trying to modify it. That way it would try and balance it a little bit.
Yeah, I can imagine that would... It just seems like there's probably a better way to do it so that, especially for somebody who doesn't play the game a ton, for somebody who's grinding out this game 40 hours a week, then you're going to collect a lot of stuff that you can turn in for script and then, just keep playing the lottery, right? But for somebody who's like, well, it'd be really nice to just have a slightly better weapon, and then you just never seem to get anything. It's kind of a bummer.
Well, like your RNG can come from cosmetics, which a lot of it already does. I've been looking for the specific, like, Charleston labeled fireman uniforms. If anyone has that, I'm willing to buy that for whatever I have in my bank account at that time of caps. So there's an RNG behind that, and I think that works for like when they had the mayhem, and you could only get like the pirate costume during that time or stuff like that. To me, that system with events worked.
Yes. Yeah, I do like that. I do like the things that are rare only to events, and then you have to you can still get them later if you trade or whatever, but it's a lot easier to just do the event, try to get the thing.
Like no one's taking my Fosnot mask. Like if you come and do that, it'll come to blows. I'll be firing bullets into your dead body at that point.
I will find you.
Cool. Any other thoughts on this, guys?
No.
Nope.
All right. Well, I think that does it for the episode this week. Thank you, everybody, for tuning back in, and thank you to our guest, Wes, for showing up. And
okay, guys, let's shut down this equipment, and then we really need to finish reading this script. I think there's a case of skunky old possum beer back there. Let's make this a good evening.
That's your definition of good evening. All right.
Wait, I think I see some of Tim Kane's notes right here, but it's I can't make it out quite. Can you read this?
I think that's the word awful.
Oh, well.
It's just the word awful. This script is awful. Wait, is that Fred Savage? He was going to be in this?
Yeah.
And Alicia Silverstone? Man.
David Hasselhoff as Colin Moriarty. Could you imagine that?
You can hassle my Hoff.
Don't hassle the Hoff.
Don't hassle the Hoff. All right, and on that note, we will see you guys on the next episode of the Fallout Hub. Goodbye, everybody.
Listen to that, you can take it or you can hide.